Back in the 70s, cakes were more than just desserts. They were vibrant, towering, full of character and filling. These sweet, heavenly goodies weren't ordinary cakes. They were the centerpiece of every family gathering and a testament to the creativity of home bakers. So get your sweet tooth ready and join us as we explore 15 popular cakes from the 1970s that will make you hungry right now. Jell-O Poke Cake wasn't just a dessert, it was a slice of magic. This vibrant dessert was a favorite across American kitchens in the 70s, and it all began with a plain white cake mix that's transformed by a vibrant Jello to create a visual and culinary delight. After baking, small holes are poked into the cake before warm, colorful Jello is poured over, soaking into every nook and cranny. The result? A cake that surprised with every slice, revealing bright, jewel-toned streaks beneath a layer of whipped cream. Today, as we lean more towards homemade and natural ingredients, the Jell-O Poke Cake is a sweet memory, a reminder of simpler days when a cake could bring joy and celebration. Imagine walking into your aunt's house for a family potluck in the mid-70s. The air is filled with laughter and the sweet, nutty aroma of something baking. In the kitchen, you spot a curious light green cake on the counter. It's a Watergate Cake, your aunt says with a wink, full of nuts and covered up with icing, just like you know what. As everyone gathers around, forks dig into the soft, pistachio-flavored cake. The cover-up icing, a fluffy mix of Dream Whip, more pistachio pudding, and milk melts on your tongue. Each bite is a perfect balance of sweet and nutty, leaving you craving more. While the political joke might be lost on younger generations today, the memory of sharing this unique cake with loved ones remains. It was more than just a dessert, it was a conversation starter, a way to find humor in troubled times, and a delicious reminder that even in the face of scandal, there's always room for cake. The Harvey Wallbanger cake is a delightful relic of the 1970s, a time when parties were vibrant and the drinks were as bold as the bell-bottoms people wore. Named after the famous cocktail, this cake was the star of many gatherings. Imagine the taste of a burst of citrus from the orange juice, mingling with the unique sweetness of Galliano, an Italian liqueur that added a touch of sophistication. The addition of vodka gave it a subtle kick, making it moist and utterly irresistible. Topped with a drizzle of orange glaze, each bite was a nostalgic trip to a lively party where the music played all night and the dance floor was never empty. Though this cake has faded from popularity, finding one today is like unearthing a delicious memory from a time when life was all about fun and celebration. In the 1970s, the chiffon cake was a symbol of elegance and lightness, often gracing the dessert tables at family reunions and festive holidays. This cake was a marvel of texture, combining the richness of a butter cake with the fluffiness of angel food. It was a cake that could rise to any occasion, flavored with lemon, coffee, or even a touch of vanilla, making it a favorite for celebrations, big or small. While tastes have changed and other desserts have taken center stage, the chiffon cake remains a sweet memory for those who remember its soft, tender crumb and the way it seemed to float on air. The tomato soup cake was the unexpected guest at the parties during the 1970s. At first glance, it's a cake that defies common sense, but one bite in, and you were hooked. For this quirky cake, a tomato soup was mixed with flour, sugar, eggs, and spices to create a moist cake that surprised everyone with its soft, sweet flavor. Despite having tomato soup as its main ingredient, the cake did not taste like tomatoes. Instead, it tasted more like a spiced carrot or pumpkin cake. Today, as we gravitate towards healthier and more conventional desserts, the tomato soup cake has slowly lost its popularity and place on our center tables. However, it remains a delicious reminder of the creativity and resourcefulness of home bakers. This is a classic dessert that quickly became a centerpiece for family get-togethers and potlucks. During the mid-70s to the late 70s, the joy came not only from the golden rings of pineapple and vibrant cherries that are nestled within, but melted butter and brown sugar, and also from the simple pleasure of flipping the cake to reveal the sticky, caramelized fruit on top. The sight and smell alone were enough to bring everyone in the family to the table, eager to share and bond in this delicious slice of nostalgia. Today, it's a reminder of the simplicity and warmth of those family gatherings. A cake that brings a bit of that sweetness into our lives whenever we recreate it. Birthdays in the 70s were pure magic wrapped in the warm embrace of family and friends. And sitting at the center table of many of these celebrations was a towering Black Forest cake. This cake wasn't just a treat, it was a statement. To make a Black Forest cake, layers of rich chocolate cake are soaked in cherry liqueur before being sandwiched with fluffy whipped cream and juicy cherries. For the final touch, a generous coating of whipped cream is decorated with dark chocolate shavings and those iconic bright red cherries, making each bite a decadent blend of sweetness and tang, a taste that lingered long after the party ended. For this one, we need to take you back to a time when dinner parties were the height of social life, and the tunnel of fudge cake was the star of the show. First baked into fame after winning a national baking contest in 1966, this cake quickly became a household favorite in the 1970s. The excitement of cutting into the perfectly baked ring only to reveal the molten chocolate center was an experience that wowed guests every time and left a lasting impression. Many cakes these days rely on frosting to give it an extra edge, but the same thing cannot be said about the tunnel of fudge. Its rich, fudgy center spoke for itself. Unfortunately, the original mix has disappeared from stores, but for those who enjoyed it, it remains a symbol of those lavish, home-cooked meals that brought everyone together. The Hummingbird Cake was a popular dessert in the South in the 1970s. It's made with tropical flavors like bananas, pineapple, and pecans in a spicy cake. Depending on who you ask, the Hummingbird Cake derived its name either because of its sugary taste or the happy feeling that came with eating one. This cake became famous after a recipe was in a magazine called Southern Living in 1978. Many people liked it because it was moist and had rich flavors. It often had cream cheese frosting. People made it for parties and family events in the late 70s and early 1980s. Now the Hummingbird Cake is not as common. People want healthier desserts. This cake has a lot of rich ingredients, which some think is maybe too much. Also, people like cupcakes and small desserts more these days. Would you believe there was a time when a slice of cake could really surprise you? The Socket Toomey cake was that kind of cake. A burst of flavor that made any 1970s event that much more fun. Its name came from a popular TV show catchphrase hinting at the strong taste inside. This wasn't just any cake. It was special, with layers of cinnamon, brown sugar, and pecans inside a soft, buttery pound cake. It was the kind of cake that made every potluck or family dinner feel like a celebration. You could almost hear the sound of forks and the chatter as people enjoyed each bite. Even though it was simple, made from a cake mix with sour cream, it tasted like it was made from scratch. Today it's a cake remembered fondly, reminding us of a time when desserts were full of flavor and style. Imagine a cake that looks as good as it tastes, a centerpiece at every family gathering. The Ambrosia Cake, a tropical treat from the 1970s, was just that. It was a layered cake with oranges, pineapple, cherries, and coconut, all held together with a sweet, fluffy whipped cream. Making this cake took effort, with its vanilla or orange cake layers stacked high and topped with fruit and coconut, creating a dessert that looked like sunshine on a plate. Each bite was a mix of creamy, fruity flavors, a taste of summer that brightened even the coldest winter days. It was the kind of cake that brought everyone together, making birthdays and special occasions even more special. Though you don't see it very often now, the Ambrosia Cake is a sweet reminder of a time when desserts were both beautiful and delicious. Back in the 1970s, a gathering of friends or family was never complete without a Lady Baltimore cake. Known for its fruit and nut filling, this white cake had layers of raisins, figs, and nuts mixed with a touch of alcohol, all wrapped in a cloud of white frosting. The cake's name makes people think it's from Baltimore, but it actually comes from a book about Charleston, South Carolina. It was often served at big events in the South, and people liked it because it looked fancy and was hard to make. As time passed and people started to prefer easier foods, the Lady Baltimore cake became less popular because it was difficult to make. Not too many people make or eat this cake anymore. Do you remember the first time you tasted something that seemed to break all the rules? The Wacky Cake, or Depression Cake, was exactly that. A dessert born from necessity that became a beloved treat in the 1970s. This was a cake that made you appreciate the little things, the small moments of joy that came from creating something out of nothing. Though it's now mostly a memory, the Wacky Cake remains a testament to the creativity and resilience of home bakers, a symbol of how simplicity can bring unparalleled delight. Let me take you back to a time when pantry staples were the secret ingredients to the best desserts. The chocolate mayonnaise cake, a curious yet delicious creation from the 1970s, was one of those sweet surprises. It usually had chocolate frosting on top and was popular at parties and family events. However, the chocolate mayonnaise cake is not common now. Some people still like it because it reminds them of the past, but most bakers don't make it. This cake, with its rich, moist texture, held a special place in the hearts of those who grew up enjoying its unique flavor, often sparking fond memories of simpler times. Do you remember the warmth of your grandmother's kitchen, where the smell of cinnamon and brown sugar filled the air? The oatmeal cake, a beloved dessert from the 1970s, brings back those cozy memories. It had a special coconut topping that was crispy and sweet. It was the kind of dessert that made ordinary evenings feel special, the kind of cake you couldn't resist having seconds of. Whether enjoyed after dinner or as a midday treat with a cup of coffee, this cake was a comforting embrace. Although it's less common now, the oatmeal cake is a delicious reminder of the days when simple ingredients created unforgettable moments. As we've journeyed through these sweet memories, we've uncovered 15 cakes that are bound to make your taste buds tingle. These aren't just desserts, they're pieces of history. Each slice a reminder of a time when life was a bit more relaxed. The kitchen was the heart of the home, and baking brought everything together. Do these cakes take you back? Maybe you've got a cherished family recipe. Share your memories in the comments below, and let's keep these delicious traditions alive.